Yes, yes, come in, child, sit down. Psychic Zamboni will do a reading for you. I sense a great power, a story inside you waiting to be told. I feel a novel, a romance. No, wait, no. It's a great, epic, spanning space opera, and a movie trilogy at that. No, wait. My eyes see something else in your future. A geopolitical thriller, and a graphic novel? That's not a combination you usually see. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Narrative Under the Knife. That intro was a little play on words that I found funny. But if you can't guess, today's episode is all about medium and genre. You see what I did there with like the medium of media and like the paranormal media? No? Okay. When it comes to medium and genre, they're essentially two very different things. Let's start first with medium. Medium's a very interesting idea when it comes to storytelling. There are so many different types, from graphic novels to movies, short films, short stories, big epic trilogies. You've got campfire storytelling, verbal storytelling. You've got commercials tell stories. There's so many different types of medium. And essentially, what you need to do is figure out which one you want to write for. Because writing for a medium is, well, exactly that. You're writing towards an end. You have an idea in mind, and you're specifically catering how you're telling your story based on your end goal. Let's look at the differences between, say, writing a book and writing a script for a movie. The book, you're writing for the reader. Your end goal is your audience. So they're going to read the exact words you put on the page. Your descriptions and your visuals are more descriptive. They're more intense. You're basically building the vision inside your audience's mind with every word you put on the page. And it takes more words. Whereas with a movie, usually your director and your cinematographer are making these decisions in production. So instead you give a vague gist of what this scene is to look like or what this character is to look like. And they take it from there and they interpret their vision. Now, sometimes you get a say, sometimes you don't. But the thing is your audience is seeing this distilled interpretation of your story. All your visuals and your descriptions are being filtered through pixels or, film. They're not seeing your exact words. They're seeing what they represent, the vague overarching idea. Take, for example, me, right here, right now. Now, you can hopefully see me, and see me pretty well. This should be HD, unless your internet connection's very poor. But you get a sense of who I am. You can see the shape of my face, the color of my clothes. You can get a sense for my personality through my gestures and what I sound like. It's all very easy. I mean, an image is worth 1,000 words, right? Now think about it if you had to describe just this image right here, and you had to get as much detail as possible. I'd be interested to see what some of you would say, but without stroking my ego too much, you could say something along the lines of, this roguishly handsome man with piercing green eyes and dark hair was wearing a bright blue shirt. The bookshelf behind him sported hundreds of titles, well used and loved with ages and ages of reading. The light was coming in from his left side, causing his huge nose to slash a dark shadow across the right side of his face. You could say something like that, but how much of that do you really need? And even then, you're missing out on my tone, on the shape of my face, on the rest of the scene that's going on here. And that's just one example. That's a visual picture versus a extreme description. Hopefully you're hitting somewhere in between. Even if you're not actually shooting a video, you should be able to get enough across that your audience knows what's going on. And that's just one of the pitfalls of writing towards your medium, is to know how much to say. At the same time, you want to find your strengths. Maybe your voice is more catered to these long descriptions about, scenery and about characters and what they look like and what they're wearing, a la J.R.R. Tolkien or Robert Jordan. But maybe your voice is more fast-paced. Maybe it doesn't need to say all those things, and you're more into action, and you have a really good way of describing physical combat. These are all going to cater to different types of mediums. All this is something you have to decide before you even put pen to paper. You need to realize what you're writing towards and write accordingly. Your voice and your prose is going to change depending on how your final interpretation of this story is going to get across to your audience. And that kind of leads into my next point of today's video. Choosing your audience, picking your genre. And there are so many genres. You have the basics, things like thriller, mystery, romance, comedy, science fiction, fantasy. And then they just get more and more specific. You have sci-fi fantasy space operas. You have, geopolitical military thrillers. You have romantic paranormal mysteries. And they just get more and more. Now you can choose one of these before you write your story, but it's the exact opposite of medium, really. What you need to do is write your story and figure out where it fits. Instead of writing towards your medium, let your genre tell you what it's supposed to be. If you start writing and you decide you want to write about, say, I don't know, a puppy and a bunny rabbit, maybe you fit in the children's genre. Maybe you work as a picture book better. But at the same time, it doesn't have to be. Say this bunny rabbit and this puppy are caught in a Taiwanese underground fighting league, and they're forced, they grow up as good friends, but they're forced to kill each other by the end of the book. Don't make that a kid's book. Amusingly enough, I think that's very similar to the plotline for The Fox and the Hound, which was supposed to be a children's movie, but admittedly ended up leaving me more scarred than anything else. Okay, take a different side of the spectrum. Maybe you want to write about these vast galactic intellects that exist outside of space and time and are having this large match of this contest of wits, like playing a chess game, and all these humans and aliens' lives are hanging in the balance. Basically the story of, the God and the devil, the good and evil. You want to have this large, overarching, spans thousands of years, hundreds of different characters, huge settings. Maybe it's a sci-fi, maybe it's a fantasy, maybe it's a romance, maybe it's a paranormal comedy. It doesn't matter. Basically, your voice and your tone and how you write, your characters, your plot, all this is going to weave together as you write, and your genre will just kind of unfold. In my mind, it's always in your best interest to just write your story and let your editor or your producer tell you what genre it's catered for. Well, that's it for this week's episode. Hopefully you got some good information on figuring out where your story fits in the world of narrative art. Stay tuned for next week. I'm not quite ready to go into characters and character building yet, but we'll be talking about the biggest non-character character, the one that tells a story all by itself without ever saying a word. And remember, if you enjoyed the video, like, comment, subscribe, share, fave, whatever it is you do with social media these days, and I'll catch you next time.